Hello, fish keepers! Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about one of the most stunning fish in the aquarium world. That is, if you can even see it. You see, this fish is so often missed by customers at pet stores, many of them go unnoticed. So whether you're hoping to show off your knowledge to your friends, you're adding some new buddies to your tank, or you just want to be a better fish parent, by the end of this video, you'll be a full-on expert and know everything that you need to know about the Golden Wonder Killifish. So this is the Golden Wonder Killifish, also known as the top minnow, particularly because they have this tendency to hang around the top of the tank and resembles a minnow. It's a really eye-catching fish if you can spot it. So to help you do that, let's jump right into its dwelling tendencies. These fish are true surface dwellers, meaning you'll often find them swimming around the top of the tank. They almost skim the surface because in the wild, they're used to searching for insects and larvae that touch the top of the water. In captivity, and especially in pet stores, they can be especially hard to spot if they're in the bottom tanks. You basically need the water line to be above your eye level so that you can see them hanging around the top. Now, if you find your killifish exploring all different levels of the tank, that's great news. That means they actually like you. You make them feel safe and comfortable in their environment. So make sure that you have a lot of plants and driftwood to mimic their natural habitat. Now, the Golden Wonder Killifish is native to India and Sri Lanka. In the wild, they can be found in slow-moving waters, particularly lakes. As far as breeding, these guys are pretty simple. The males will kind of like flare their fins out and perform this dance to impress the females. They lay their eggs typically on floating plants, and the eggs will typically hatch in about 11 to 14 days. Just make sure that you remove the actual parents so that the fry have a chance to live. Otherwise, the parents will eat them. They do come in this cool gold and bluish color, but that's not how they are in the wild. This is a result of selective breeding. In the wild, they have this like bland gold gray color, almost what you would expect if you were to experience some silty water. They usually grow about 1 to 3 inches, but in the wild, they can get upwards of around 6, making them one of the larger killifish species. Now, Golden Wonders in particular, as far as their lifespan, they can live for around 2 to 3 years if you keep their water conditions stable, feed them regularly, and so on and so forth. Now, the Golden Wonder Killifish does best in schools, so it's best that you get a group of 3 in order to keep them happy and stress-free. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they prefer slow-moving waters. They come from the lakes of Sri Lanka, so you're going to want to mimic something that of a lake, which is typically a very slow-moving water. I wouldn't even call it medium current. We're talking about slow to almost steady currents. As far as the pH level goes, they're pretty adaptable when it comes to a pH, but the ideal level is going to be somewhere between 6.0 and 7.5. And I know that's a bit lower than what the recommended is for most fish in the aquarium trade, but consider the Sri Lankan lakes that they come from. For example, and I know I'm going to butcher this, the Gunathilaka Lake in Sri Lanka has an average pH level of around 7.5. Temperature-wise, you're going to want to keep this between 72 and 77 to keep them happy. Now, when it comes to food, these guys are carnivores. So a diet rich in meaty foods is going to be very important. They'll eat your typical flakes, they'll eat pellets, but you definitely want to throw in some Daphnia, brine shrimp, and the occasional bloodworm. So fun fact, the word killifish comes from the Dutch word kilde, which basically means a small creek or a puddle. Now, as far as personal experiences go, some hobbyists have had mixed experiences with these species. While they do fine in community tanks, they are predators and they will eat smaller fish if they can fit them in their mouths. So you're gonna want to avoid tiny tank baits like the neon tetra and shrimp. Oh, and be careful because they're jumpers. So keeping a lid on your aquarium is gonna do just the trick. Now, let's see how these fish did as far as their ranking goes. All right, when it comes to the wow factor, it's not every single day that you run into a true surface dweller. And I've always loved the way that they move back and forth with their bodies. And there's just something about their smile that I just can't get over either. But without knowing the backstory of a killifish, to the average person, it's just gonna look like just another fish. Taking all of that into consideration, I'm gonna give the killifish a wow factor score of a 3. Now, Golden Wonder Killifish aren't the most hardy, but they're not super sensitive either. In my personal experience, they've been on the mid-tier end of hardiness. So with that, I'm gonna give them a hardiness score of a 3. Now, breeding killifish isn't the most difficult thing in the world, but they do have a lot of preferences. They need hiding spaces, spaces, enough places for them to do their dance, show off their fins. They need the right temperature, and their tank mates can get in the way. So I'm gonna give them a breeding score of a 3. Now, Golden Wonder killifish are not the most expensive fish out there, but they do typically have a wide price range. I've seen them go for as low as $5 each, while some private owners can charge upwards of $20 each, with the median being somewhere around $8. But since you need about 3, I'm gonna put this affordability score at a 3, just because the fact that you have to get multiple of them can be a bit burdensome. Now, I've heard of some pretty nasty, aggressive killifish, and I've actually had personal experiences with that too. They're peaceful 99% of the time, but just like a mob boss, it takes one time for you to cross them and you're done for. Now let's talk about rarity. Now we should point out that there are some killifish species that are actually going extinct today, specifically in Sri Lanka and especially in Turkey. However, the Golden Wonder killifish is alive, well, and readily available in most fish stores. So for rarity, I'm gonna give it a 2. So there you have it. That's the Golden Wonder killifish. And congratulations, you are now a full-on expert in Golden Wonder killifish origins, maintenance, and happiness. If you like this video and you're ready to take our relationship to the next level, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next one.